University of Essex to talk about. He's an expert on this field and knows far more than anyone else in the room, and it's great to have you here. Thank you very much for coming. If you sort of just give a brief outline of what the benefits of green exercise might be.
Stand up, that's right. Okay, so I'll tell you a little bit about me first. So I'm a specialist in exercise psychology. I did my undergraduate, my master's, and now I'm just finishing my PhD at the University of Essex. So green exercise, as Matt sort of touched upon, is exercise that takes place in the presence of a natural environment. Okay, so we talk about it in terms of levels. How engaged with nature are you? Okay, so two of the levels I'm going to mention today. You've got this kind of incidental experience of green exercise. So if you're walking through a park, but you was on your phone or listening to music or just trying to get to work, you are doing green exercise, but you're not really engaging with it. It's just there incidentally. It's just part of you doing something else. Okay, so it's not the main focus of what you're doing. Then a more deeper level is actually trying to be engaged with nature. So you actually go to nature to experience it, and this could be as simple as, walking your dog through a forest or throwing a frisbee on a beach. Anything that's kind of, you go there because you want to enjoy nature and you want to have fun there and be physically active. Okay, a lot of people go running down canals, things like that. Okay, so this is an example of how Matt's trying to bring this kind of active participation in green exercise into a sort of controlled environment where it's safe. The weather's not beating down on you. And this is, an example of how that can be done. So in terms of the research that we're doing, well, I'll talk about a bit broadly about the research actually. So a lot of the research over the last 15 years has shown that exercise in nature is better for your health and well-being. Okay. Many of the measures that people use, they tend to look at things like self-esteem, mood, feelings of restoration, how people cope with stress. And generally, although the field is relatively new, 15 years may sound like a lot of research to some, but medicine has been going about thousands of years. Okay, so it's quite a new topic. And generally speaking, the consensus is that green exercise is better for your health and well-being. Okay. Now that's not to say that what we call urban exercise or exercise in the gym is not good for you. What we're trying to portray is that you get this additional benefit, okay, of being in a natural environment. Okay. So if you did the same exercise indoors, just staring at a white wall without the plants, you would have an effect. Exercise is good for you. If you were to do it outside exactly the same, it would be better for you. I'm just finishing a piece of research now where I've actually taken an exercise bike out into a field, and people have been cycling, in a cold field and a hot field, depending on the time of year. And they're basically doing the same as they would be doing indoors. Okay, so instead of going to a gym and cycling for 20 minutes or whatever it may be, we're actually trying to replicate that outside as well. Okay, and the evidence is showing that it is better for your mental well-being. So things like self-esteem and mood and all these kind of measures. The reason for that, well, there's a few theories that people have. Okay, we touched upon like biophilia. We kind of have this innate connection to nature. We like seeing it. We want to be in it. There's also this kind of idea of attention. Okay, when we're in nature, we use what they call a bottom-up sort of attention, which means we're like absorbing the environment. Okay, we're not actually using our mental capacity to focus on nature. We just absorb it, and it's actually good for us. Because whilst we're using this kind of bottom-up approach to mental processing, we're giving our top-down approach, which is the kind of capacity we use to focus on tasks, such as in the workplace if you're typing a document. You're using your capacity to focus on the task, whereas in nature you're kind of absorbing the information, which is a lot easier for your brain to cope with, and actually gives your mental capacity time to recover. And this is how you're restoring yourself while spending time in nature. Okay, so there's been evidence people, if you have your lunch break sitting in natural scenery, that's better for you than just sitting or at your desk or in a grey room looking at boring pictures or whatever. Okay, so that's kind of the idea of how your research is coming along. We're trying to look at green exercise in a kind of environment like this, basically trying to see if that is actually going to help your focus and your mental capacity after you leave. Okay, so if you've got a workforce, let's say the standard 8-hour office day or You know, so you spend the first 4 hours at your desk, and then if you have your lunch break in a boring room or in the kitchen or whatever, you're not actually giving your mind the time to restore, so you can then crack on with the rest of the day. So people get fatigued and you kind of just get bored of what you're doing. And that's quite common. So the idea being that if you can come and use a space like this, so you're getting the benefits of seeing nature, the benefits of being physically active in nature, and also the kind of benefits of the combination of two. So you're getting this added benefit of doing exercise in the natural environment. And this is kind of a way, which no one else has really done, a way, Matt has done, that you can actually combine the two in that sort of environment. Kind of, if you've got a lunch break or before you go to do something, you can do it without actually having to go in nature and kind of experience nature like that. You can do it in a controlled environment. So that's basically...
Perfect segue into our next topic, which is really about how this, or rather how health, well-being, and with a subsection of that, biophilia, can connect with the built environment around us. So a lot of this came about, well, how can I get closer to nature but in the city? And really this is just one small piece, but the wider perspective on this is healthy buildings or healthy real estate. And how can you build wellness to a building, literally from the ground up, brick by brick, into the design, into the planning phase. So Despina Katsakakis on my right is really an expert on workplace wellness, but I think essentially healthy buildings as a whole. And this is perhaps the perspective of beyond just a gym and more, well, how can health and well-being percolate through into our daily environments, whether that's residential